Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to the Introvert Dating Success Show, courtesy of IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. I'm your host, HarryWilmington, and that is the show, and this is the website you can go to learn how to date and attract women as your authentic introverted self while still getting your precious alone time. And on today's show, we're going to be answering a question from a guy who's going through a situation that I feel a lot of guys have gone through. He's met this girl over the last few months. He's gotten to know her really well, and he's attracted to her and wants to know how to flirt with her and how to get her on a date without possibly risking the friendship or facing rejection. And it's something that a lot of guys go through, especially introverted guys. So I figured it'd be worth talking about and answering his question today. For more of these shows, you can go to IntrovertDatingSuccess.com. You can also go to iTunes and leave a nice 5-star review, and you can check us out at YouTube. If you join on Patreon.com as a patron by going to Patreon.com/IntrovertDatingSuccess, if you join that and support this show that way, then you will get to have access to these shows a week in advance. So right now on the website, as you're listening to this show, there are probably 3 or 4 other shows available right now that won't be out till next week. So if you want to hear those shows now, become a patron. Also, if you have any questions you'd like answered on this show, go to the website, click on the contact tab and send a message. Also go there if you're interested about learning about one-on-one coaching, because I do that as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into this guy's message. It goes a little something like this. It says, half a year ago, I moved to a new town for studying. I quickly made some friends in my class, and we went to some bars in the evening. Then I discovered that in this one bar, you could take a salsa cubana, I think it's cubana, forgive me if I'm messing it up, dancing class, and I found that really cool. But I didn't want to take that class on my own. About a week later, I met a girl from my class in another bar. We talked a bit, and after a while, I told her about that dancing class. Turned out that she loved dancing, and she found that class really cool too. So we decided to take those salsa lessons together. Oh God, okay, I gotta stop. Okay, I gotta stop right there, because I'm about to read the rest of the message where he's fast forwarding to how they're friends and stuff like that. But this is something that you as an introvert need to look out for, because it's because we so much, A, we enjoy our alone time, and B, we're not the best at small talk, and we're not the ones that are typically forcing ourselves to go out there and try to meet people. When these situations come up where you are in an environment where it just so happens you're able to meet women and you just happen to have a relaxed conversation, this is when you need to really pay attention to if the woman that you're talking to is throwing out signals to you that may be indicative of some kind of interest. So look at what this guy just said, okay? He's in a bar and he meets a girl from his class. So he's met a girl that is already in a familiar environment with him, which is already a plus, because that's how introverts best meet people, is by being in environments where they're comfortable, cool, and where they already kind of know people. So he's probably seen this girl a few times in class. Maybe he hasn't talked to her, but there's enough of a familiarity there to where it makes it easy for him to talk to her, okay? But look what happens during the conversation. He mentions an interest, and the first thing she says is, oh man, that's so great, I like doing that too. So what is she doing? She's signaling to him that this is an activity that we could possibly do together. Now, most women aren't going to just signal to you that they're down to do something with you unless there's some kind of sparked interest there. So the fact that he mentioned dancing gave her a way to basically say, hey, I think we should do a dancing date together, because going on dancing dates is like one of the best things you can do in terms of getting to meet women. A, they typically in the class by themselves have a lot of them, but also dancing gives you an excuse to do what I call positive touches on a woman that are authorized. Like, you ain't got to be in your head wondering, should I touch her on the shoulder or the neck, or is she ready for me to get there? Because by nature of dancing, you're holding hips, you're holding shoulders, she's being hugged in your arms, and she knows this. She knows that going to a dancing class will mean she has to do all this stuff with this guy, and she suggested it. So the mistake that he made early on was not reading that as a sign that, oh, she might be showing me interest. Instead, he just said, okay, he did what a lot of nice guys and a lot of shy guys and a lot of introverted guys do, which is, okay, so this is a chance for me to spend time with her, but that doesn't necessarily mean that she likes me, so I'm gonna just see how things go. Not realizing that her basically inviting herself to his stuff was the get. That was the invite. That was the thing that should have let him know that she had some kind of interest. The fact that she was even talking to him in a bar and just like talking and having a good time. He said they talked for a bit. So clearly the conversation was exciting enough and enticing enough for her to stick around. He didn't mention anybody else coming up. He didn't mention her talking to any other people in the bar. He said they were talking. He mentioned the interest, and she said, we should do that together. So the nice thing is, if you are tuned in to things that women do that indicate interest, you won't spend your time in your head trying to figure out what you need to be showing to indicate interest to her, because you'll be looking for these little signs that women throw out. And women throw out all the time. There are probably women right now that you are, if you weren't paying attention, were actually throwing you signs long time ago. I had a friend of mine recently, she went to college with me, and she recently moved to this city, and we've been hanging out, and she's seeing other dudes and I'm seeing other girls. So that's not even a situation in terms of us. But she mentioned during our freshman year, she said she knew a lot of girls that actually had a crush on me. And I would go by this woman's dorm every day, not to see her, but just because I had a friend that worked at the front desk that I was able to just talk to and hang out with. She was an older classman. But by being in that freshman dorm every day, a lot of girls passed by and saw me, and I would talk to them and say, hey, what's up? And I was so in my head at the time about, like, I had low self-esteem. I didn't think that women would find me attractive. And so I didn't even notice or know that any of these girls had crushes on me until this year. And I'm just like, man, I missed out on a lot of action back in the day by being so self-doubtful and not really knowing what the things were that these women were throwing out that let me know they were interested. Like, women are typically will be very, very subtle because they can't be as forthcoming as we can without fearing punishment or feeling that they're going to be seen as, a loose woman or whatever is in the women's heads or whatever. So they'll throw out these signals that if you're a smart guy and have studied this stuff, you will get. And that's why I recommend you go to the website, check out some of my eBooks, check out some of my programs, check out some of the free training there, because all these things will help to give you an idea of just a few of the things that women are going to throw out to you that let you know they're interested. Because this guy had a shot. Day one, he had a shot, and he didn't even recognize it, and now he's in his head about it. But anyway, continuing on, now a few months later, she's one of my closest friends, and we had a lot of fun in that salsa class and are planning on taking another one together. Normally, the story would end there, but I am thinking a lot of her lately. She is one of the coolest people I know. We laugh a lot together, and I also think she's kind of cute. She doesn't know about that, but until lately, I haven't thought about her romantically, but now I kind of do. So this is another thing that happens sometimes, is that, you might meet a girl initially and you're not even thinking about relationships, dating, etc. So you just kind of pass it off. But part of that's also because a lot of guys think that, okay, if I meet a girl, the first thing I should do is try to become her friend and then see what she's about. And I'm with the belief that if you're talking to a beautiful girl and you think there might be even a semblance of something that could possibly happen down the line, you need to be making those kind of moves first, where you say, hey, let's go out. Hey, let's go get something to drink or eat or do whatever, because it's going to be easier to start off as making this an inquiry about what could potentially be a relationship. And then if you decide not to go that way, then shifting it down to a friendship. But it's a lot harder to start at a friendship and then try to turn up the wheel and build it into a relationship, because most women in their head, once you're the friend, it becomes riskier to try to make you into the boyfriend. So they'll usually keep you in that pocket. So again, it's easier to go in with the idea that this might be romantic and then see what's what and then downshift than it is to upshift later. Just as a general note to you guys out there. She was continuing on. She obviously had just seen me as a friend too, since she had a little thing with a guy I know about 2 months ago. And then it says in parentheses, but they didn't work out, and now they don't talk to each other, which is great, because you don't want to date women that have exes in the background. And I know some of you might think, well, what if she's has a kid with a guy? Then that means that she would always have a guy in the background because she has somebody else who's the father for a kid. I don't want to be that guy that says don't date single mothers, because realistically, single moms deserve love too. But I will say that it typically tends to be a lot harder. And if that's the route that you want to go, then understand that some baby daddies get really, really jealous and will try to cause problems in your relationship. And you got to be ready for that. If you can't make things peaceful between that situation, then it might not be worth it to try. But you might be one of those guys that's able to do that. I'm not. Continuing on, let's see. So my question is, should I try to get a little flirty with her, or rather not risk to damage our friendship? Basically, should I get flirty with her, or should I not try to risk the friendship? I really like this girl and don't want to lose her. Well, as I've said in a previous podcast, most women, if you're not going to be romantic with them, you're eventually going to lose them, because just by the way of how society works and how friendships and stuff are, if she meets another guy, she's going to want to spend most of her time with that guy, and also it's not going to make sense for her to date another guy but still spend a lot of time with you. I've had women that I was friends with for years, they get with a guy and we still text and we're still doing occasional phone calls here and there, but in terms of hanging out, especially one-on-one, not happening. So you always want to have the thought process that if you like a girl, if the idea is you're trying to keep her around, then you got to ask her out. Because if you don't ask her out, the other thing's going to happen, which is you're going to eventually lose her, just by the nature of how relationships work. But I understand this guy's plight here, because there is always this innate fear that if you try to ask a girl out that's a friend of yours, there is a huge risk there that if she doesn't feel that way, she's going to start feeling awkward around you. And what I have found is, what's interesting? What I've found is that if you phrase the ask out in a way that doesn't put the onus to this whole thing on you, it makes it a lot easier. And what I mean is that I think a major problem that a lot of women have when their guy friends come to ask them out is the intensity. It's not just like guys go to their girlfriends and say, hey, so you know what, I think maybe we should try going to a movie and see what's what. Most guys go to a girl and are like, hey, so, I've had a crush on you for a very, very long time, for a few months now, and I just think the world of you, and I just think you're so special and you're so wonderful, and I would just love if we could maybe try that. And you've built up months of intensity to have feelings for this girl, and you expect her to have the same intensity in that same moment. And chances are she probably wasn't thinking about you that way. So you're basically asking her to go from 0 to 60. You're saying, hey, you had no feelings that were romantic about me before, but now that I'm telling you, you got to have them right now. Now let me ask you, does that sound fair to her? It does not, right? But you can ask things in a way that aren't so intense. So one way that I found, I've done it before, where I'll go to a girl and I'll say, hey, we should do such and so, whatever, we should go on this thing together. And at that point, she's like, well, I wasn't thinking of you that way or whatever, this and that. And then I'd just be like, oh, okay, my bad. I was reading signals that I thought maybe you were interested. So I figured if you were interested, then I might as well ask you out, because why not? But you're not, so my bad, my misread. And then we continue on, and there's no hard feelings. So that's one way to do it. Another way I find is that women expect men to be the leaders of things. So a lot of making this work is basically just showing her the confidence that you're able to even do the ask. And I remember when I was in college, I did this where I decided, you know what, I need to get some practice dating. So I just needed to go to my friends that are girls and ask them on a date. And I'll go to them and say, hey, so I want to take you out. I'm trying to do some practice dating just to try to, get into the field of things. So I want to take you out. Is that cool? And all the girls that I asked to do that said yes. And then we'd go out, we'd have a good time. And some of them actually, I found out later, were actually interested in me. But again, I didn't make a move. But just the boldness of being able to ask them would make them want to go. And again, it's not one of those things where you got to be hyper intense about it. The less intense you are when you do these ask outs, the better chance you're going to have that she's going to agree to go. And, I've said to girls before, I remember one time I said to a girl, I said, it was a friend of mine, and I said, hey, so I think I want to take you out. And they started kind of reacting like that thing the girls do was like, oh no, like, what does this mean? And I said, look, it's not a marriage proposal, just we hang out a lot, we have a good time, and I want to see what's what. So if we go out and have a good time and, it's great and you like it and I like it, then it is what it is. And if, we decide after that it's just a friendship vibe, that's cool too. But either way, I want to take you out. And she agreed to it. So again, you can remind women when you ask them, hey, this isn't a marriage proposal. But you could say, hey, realistically, we get along great, we hang out a lot, and I just want to see what it would be like to take you out on a nice evening and show you a good time, knowing that it's more of a romantic thing than just a friendship thing. And then we can go from there and see what's what. And you do it that way where it's like you're not applying any pressure, you're not saying if this doesn't work out, we're no longer friends, but you are letting her know that there is a curiosity there. And I always tell guys, if you ask with the feeling that it's more of a research project than a like undying confession of love, then you can legitimately go into it and saying, hey, we get along great. I want to explore what else this could be. Are you down? Now, some women will say no to that. And you know what? That's perfectly fine. You just know that that's not a girl that wants to go out with you. And maybe I've had it where I've asked girls out and they'll say no in the moment. I say, okay, well, that's cool. Just if you change your mind, let me know. And then like down the road, they start asking me, hey, so can you like be my date to this thing or whatever? So you never know what could happen down the road if you don't ask. So these days, I err on the side of, if you have a woman that you're legit friends with, I don't recommend trying to start female friendships. So if you're at a point where you've already become friends with a girl that you initially wanted to try to romance, then we can't do anything for you about that. But at this point, if you're already stuck in that situation, then again, there's nothing wrong with the ask. Most women are still flattered by the ask, even if it's not somebody they necessarily want to get with, but it makes them feel good. And so there's really not a negative side. The only negative side is going to be is how you handle what her response is, because whether she says yes or no, how you handle that's going to ultimately determine how you feel about the situation. So if she says no to you, it's like, it'll sting for a little bit, but at least you know. At least you know now, you asked, it's out there that you had some kind of a like for, and you'll find another girl and you'll be cool with this girl, hopefully, and life will go on. But just don't make it the big deal that in your head it seems to be, because it's really, really not. It just really is not. So anyway, hopefully this helps that guy. Hopefully this helps you watching this show, listening to it. For more of these shows, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can see the videos for these shows there, as well as on YouTube. You can also download these shows on iTunes. And if you become a patron by going to patreon.com/introvertdatingsuccess, you will have access to these shows a week before they air anywhere else, okay? Also go to the website if you want to contact me about a question you want answered on the show. If you're interested in one-on-one phone coaching, we have the coaching tab at the site as well. And if you want to show support for this show, you can go to the tab at the website that says tip jar, and you can support me that way. There are links there in which you can do that. That's all I got for you guys today. Thanks for watching. I'm Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next show. I'm out. Peace.